morning. Welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Wednesday, October 2nd, 2013. If you're a Radio Newark listener and want to watch this broadcast, please go to www.catex.com. This is day 2 of the federal government shutdown. A few Republicans in the House of Representatives have begun to signal that they are ready to defect and would be willing to vote for a so-called clean bill, which would allow the government to continue operating without trying to extort the Obamacare, Affordable Health Care Act provisions that the Tea Party in the House of Representatives are insisting upon. The total is now up to 8. My prediction is by tomorrow night, the total will be enough so that Speaker Boehner, with those defections and the Democrat minority, will have enough to overturn the right-wing groups. The question is then whether Boehner will do it, because he likely will be ousted as Speaker. Meanwhile, the shutdown is beginning to have effects. President Obama has had to postpone the Malaysia and Philippine portion of his Asian tour simply because of lack of financial resources to provide the government support. The president is scheduled to leave on Saturday, and he's visiting at this point still Indonesia as well as Brunei. It's a question as to whether or not those aspects of the trip are going to have to be canceled as well. About 700,000 federal employees are currently on unpaid leave. We've been talking for a few days now about how the UK's Prudential Regulation Authority, the insurance and banking regulator, was getting ready to make a statement about convergence in the reinsurance industry, i.e. the capital markets. Julian Adams made a speech a very short time ago to a Lloyd's audience. He said that the regulator is going to keep a close eye on reinsurers as their business model continues to be tested by the growth of alternative capital providers. Adams said reinsurers could help preserve their options by setting up capital markets divisions, but warned that this can change the dynamics of their earning base if they become more dependent on lower return, albeit more stable fee income. Well, he's right, but I think the horse is already out of the barn. Most reinsurers have already set up capital market divisions, and actually in a funny way, to be able to rely on these fully collateralized mechanisms means that they no longer have to jigger around with claim reserves. Speaking of claim reserves, one company that has been trying to figure out its own claim reserves is Tower Group, an insurance company based in New York. They have not yet released their second quarter figures, which is we're up to and through June 30th. Apparently they're now going to come out next week. Tower Group, as we've reported, is being circled by potential buyers and has hired investment banks. They have now entered into agreements with 3 reinsurers in deals which it says will, quote, enhance its own financial flexibility. Hanover Re, Arch Reinsurance, and Southport Re have all provided either multi-line quota share agreements, workers' compensation reinsurance, or aggregate excess of loss agreements with Tower in order to relieve some of the pressure. Tower, of course, has to pay premiums for this protection, but at least the exposures are off their books, which means that they're coming closer to estimating a clean number for their claim reserves, which is what they were holding up the financial report for. In central Germany, 3 miners are dead after a carbon dioxide explosion at a potash mine. The mine in a place called Unterbriesbach in the state of Thuringia was a result of a controlled explosion at the mine at about 1:10 p.m. today. 7 miners were initially missing. 4 have been rescued. The mine is operated by KS Potash, which operates 6 mines in Germany producing salt for the agricultural, healthcare, and food industries. Yesterday was the advent of the Affordable Health Care law. Millions of Americans flooded the government websites, specifically the one that is set up in order to help people buy insurance for themselves that are off the state exchanges. State exchanges have their own website address. Those states that didn't set up exchanges use this federal website. 2.8 million people visited the federal marketplace yesterday alone. About 90,000 others dialed into the help center. In state-by-state breakdowns, about 1,000 people in Kentucky have completed insurance applications. Some 167 in Connecticut had completed applications. The state-by-state tallies are fully not in yet, obviously. Anecdotal evidence are people waiting in line for quite some time in order to get through, but the savings in one person's instance in Los Angeles said it will save me over $6,000. For that, I would have waited all day. Meanwhile, in Jacksonville, Florida, the international airport was shut down for about 5 hours last night, beginning at about 6 p.m. The airport was evacuated when police found one suspicious package in the terminal and another one in a nearby parking garage. One of the packages, police said, quote, had some destructive nature and it had to be taken off-site, but they did not elaborate. The airport was opened at about 11:30 p.m. last night and is returning to normal right now. Meanwhile, shares in hedge fund-backed reinsured Third Point Re jumped about 3% on the New York Stock Exchange yesterday after analysts at Keefe, Bruyette & Woods raised their earnings estimates for the firm due to better than expected investment results. Investments, of course, are managed by the hedge fund guru Dan Loeb, who is the founder of the firm. Those investments have jumped about 17% in the first 9 months of this year. That's pretty good. Meanwhile, experts, of course, had predicted a very busy hurricane season for this year, but of course there's been a mysterious lack of activity and has scientists scratching their heads. The unusually weak Atlantic storms can be partially blamed on factors such as especially dry air, lack of El Nino, and colder than normal waters. But as a whole, it has scientists rethinking the way they're going to have to make their long-term projections. Hurricanes, of course, need moisture, and this has been an exceedingly dry year. As a result of the dryness, this means that it's very difficult for huge thunderstorms to form, which is so-called subsidence in meteorological conditions, so it's unable to really give hurricanes the momentum they need. And in addition to that, the cold waters of Portugal have not helped. Temperatures there have been a little bit lower than normal. So people such as Dr. Gray and others at Colorado State University are going to have to rethink their predictions for next year. Keep in mind, though, we still have until, I believe, November 1st, so we have some 29 days to go in the hurricane season. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.